Everybody hates these cars, and that hatred is exactly why you can buy one dirt cheap and drive it for years on pennies. Today I want to show you one of the most interesting vehicles I have ever put a scan tool on. It is an electric car, and it is a BMW. And here is the strange thing about it. This car failed because it is a BMW, and it succeeded because it is a BMW. Now, what in the world does that mean? Stick with me for the next few minutes and I will explain the whole thing, because buried inside this one funny little car is a rule about buying used vehicles that can save you thousands and thousands of dollars for the rest of your life. The car is the BMW i3, and in the United States this thing failed miserably. Not because it was a bad car, because it was a BMW. Think about who buys a BMW. BMW people want a big, smooth, luxurious car. They want leather, they want highway comfort, and they want to pull into a gas station, fill up in 3 minutes, and drive 400 miles without a single thought. That is the clientele. That is who walks into the showroom. Now here comes the i3. It is small, it is odd-looking, the range is limited, and the price was not. These were expensive little cars when they were new. So the BMW customer walks in, looks at this funny little electric box sitting next to the big sedans, and walks right past it. And the people who actually wanted a small, efficient electric car, the practical folks, they would never in a million years walk into a BMW dealership in the first place, because everybody on earth knows the reputation. BMWs are expensive to buy, expensive to maintain, and expensive to fix when they break, and they do break. So the car got squeezed from both sides. The BMW crowd did not want it, and the electric crowd did not want a BMW. The dealers could not give these things away. I heard of a fella who bought one brand new for $25,000 under the sticker price. $25,000 off on a brand new car because it had been sitting on the lot so long the dealer just wanted it gone. Now, if BMW had been smart, they would have done what Mercedes did with the smart car. Give it its own name, its own brand, its own little identity, and sell it to the people who actually wanted that kind of car. They would have had to drop the price too, and BMW does not like dropping prices. So instead the car died in the showroom, and they pulled it out of the United States in 2021. And that right there is the failure. The car failed at marketing. Now let me tell you about the success, because this is where it gets good. The one I want to tell you about is a 2015. That makes it 11 years old. It has 178,000 miles on it, and it is still driving around on the original battery. The original battery. Let that sink in, because everybody and their brother will tell you that electric car batteries are dead by 100,000 miles and cost a fortune to replace. This one is at 178 and still going to work every day. Because here is the thing about BMW that both their fans and their critics keep forgetting. BMW has real engineers, serious ones. They are not fools. When they sat down to build a small electric car, they built it properly. The motors do not give trouble. The batteries do not give trouble. About the worst thing you hear about is a motor mount breaking now and then, and that is small stuff. All the usual BMW headaches, the electronics going haywire, the plastic pieces crumbling, the endless little failures as they age. This car mostly does not have them. They built a genuinely reliable electric car. They just built it for a customer who did not exist. Now let me walk you through the strangest part of this vehicle, because it tells you a lot about how the car business really works. This particular i3 has what they call a range extender. In the back, under the cargo floor, there is a little 2-cylinder gasoline engine, 647 cc. That is a motorcycle-sized engine. And here is the first thing you need to understand about it. That engine does not drive the wheels, not ever. It is hooked to a generator. When your battery runs low, the little engine fires up, spins the generator feeds the battery, and the battery keeps running the electric motor like nothing happened. The car accelerates exactly the same. You do not lose a thing. It is a gas-powered battery charger riding around in the trunk. Second thing, the gas tank for that engine holds about 2 gallons. 2. And you might ask, well, why in the world would they give it such a tiny tank? Give it 10 gallons and the thing could go all day. And the answer is government paperwork. If they put a bigger tank on it, the EPA would not classify it as an electric car, and there go the tax credits and all the benefits that came with that label. They knew perfectly well that if Americans had a 10-gallon tank, they would just fill up with gas all the time instead of ever plugging the thing in. So the tank stayed tiny, the label stayed electric, and the car got to wear the badge the rules required. That is not engineering. That is regulation shaping the machine. And the third thing, and this one makes me laugh every time, BMW makes some of the best motorcycles in the world, have for generations. So you would think, obviously, the little engine in the back of their electric car is a BMW motorcycle engine. Nope, it is made in Taiwan. BMW motorcycles are big, expensive machines with big, expensive engines, and BMW did not want to put a heavy, costly motor in the back of an economy runabout. But they have a little scooter in their lineup that uses a 647 twin they buy from a company in Taiwan. So they bought the same engine, shipped it to Germany, and bolted it into their flagship electric car. The proud Germans running their electric BMW on a Taiwanese scooter motor. And here is the punchline. It works great. Those little engines barely ever give trouble. And there is a real mechanical reason for that, so let me give it to you, because it applies to any range extender vehicle you will ever look at. That engine lives an easy life. It never launches the car from a stoplight. It never lugs up a hill. It never gets floored to pass a truck. It just spins a generator at a nice, steady, efficient speed, which is the gentlest job you can give an engine. No hard strain, no wild swings. An engine that only ever runs a generator at its happy speed will last practically forever. There is one thing that does go wrong with these, and it is not the machine's fault, it is the owner's. The die-hard electric fans plug in every single night, so they almost never burn any gasoline. That 2 gallons of gas sits in the tank for a year, 2 years, going stale and gummy. Then one day they finally run the battery down, the little engine wakes up after 18 months of sleep, tries to drink year-old gas, and it stumbles and mumbles and runs rough, and they say the range extender is junk. It is not junk, it is starving on old fuel. If you ever own one of these, here is the habit. Once a month, run the battery low on purpose, let the generator burn through the gas in the tank, and fill it back up fresh. Fresh fuel, exercised engine, no problems. That is the whole maintenance program. Now, on paper, the range never was much, and I will be straight with you about it. With the extender and a full charge and a full tank, you are looking at maybe 160 miles total. The ones without the extender, well under 100. And in real life, running the heat in winter or the air conditioning in summer, I have seen the plain ones down around 75 miles. That is why they could not sell them. But flip it around, a small battery is also a small chore. On a 240-volt home charger, this thing goes from low to full in about 5 hours overnight. On a fast charger, 35-40 minutes, and you have a good charge. Compare that to the giant batteries out there that will sit on a home charger for 12 hours. Small battery, small weight, small electric bill. Now let me tell you what happens when you put a scan tool on an 11-year-old one of these, because this is the part that scares people off, and it should not. The scan came back with 13 trouble codes. 13. Sounds terrifying, right? Now watch what those codes actually were. Wiper not initialized, a short in an air circulation sensor line, radio control battery under voltage, and here is the story behind most of them. Somebody had replaced the small 12-volt battery, the regular little battery every car has, and never reinitialized the systems afterward. That is it. On a complicated German car, changing a battery without doing the reset ceremony leaves a trail of codes behind, and they all mean nothing. Another code said system time storage error in the instrument cluster. The clock works fine. Erase it. The power steering had a low voltage code. Same battery story. Erase it. A brake pad wear sensor said the front pads are thin, and you know what? They were thin. The owner already knew. That is the one honest code in the pile. The range extender had a code about an invalid signal from a transmitter, and the extender runs perfectly. And the camera system complained, and the diagnosis there was that the cameras were dirty lenses. So if your car has lane assist and cameras, keep some glass cleaner and a soft cloth in the trunk and wipe the lenses off once in a while. That is a 5-cent repair. Here is the lesson inside all that, and it goes way beyond this one car. On a modern, complicated vehicle, a pile of stored codes does not mean a pile of problems. Most of them are history and housekeeping. What matters is which codes come back after you clear them, and whether the car actually misbehaves. A $25 code reader and 10 minutes of common sense will tell you more than a panicked look at a 13-item list ever will. Now the numbers that really matter on an old electric car. The battery health. This battery started life at about 22 kilowatt hours. Today it measures 19.9. After 11 years and 178,000 miles, it has lost roughly 10%. The owner has put about 90,000 miles on it himself and figures he has lost maybe 10 miles of range in all that time. And the range extender has not been sitting idle either. The computer keeps count. That little Taiwanese engine has fired up over 13,000 times, and the car has covered more than 110,000 kilometers with the extender running. 13,000 duty cycles on a scooter motor still running like a sewing machine. And driving it, it is quiet as a library. All you hear is the tires and the wind. It is a light car with an electric motor, so it jumps when you step on it, past 60 before you know it, and because it is a BMW, it actually handles, still riding on the original struts, and it still rides well. Inside it has real buttons for the heat and the air, real turn signal stalks, a normal layout. You do not need a computer science degree to turn on the defroster. It feels like a regular car that happens to be electric, and there is a lot to be said for that. The fella who owns this one bought it used, cheap, because nobody wanted it. He uses it for deliveries. It earns him money every day. He has put 90,000 miles on it and spent basically nothing beyond tires and brake pads. Filling that little tank used to cost him $5 or $6, now maybe $8. A BMW, of all things, that has cost its owner almost nothing. You will wait a long time to hear that sentence again. Now, before you run out and buy every unloved car on the market, let me give you the warning that comes with this, because there is one. Do not be the person who buys one of these when it is 20 or 25 years old. Here is why. The main battery is not one battery, it is a set of packs. If you ever had to replace all of them at a BMW dealer, you would be looking at somewhere between $12,000 and $25,000, and do not let anybody tell you that you can just swap the 1 week pack, because if the car is that old and one pack is worn out, the others are worn too. You would be putting a new knee on a 100-year-old man. On top of that, the dealers never liked these cars. They do not stock parts for them, and rare parts on an orphaned model cost a small fortune. Compare that to something like a Prius. There are millions of Priuses out there, so there is a whole industry of remanufactured batteries. I have heard of hybrid batteries swapped for around $1,350 because the volume exists. Volume is what makes old cars affordable to keep, and an orphan has no volume. So the sweet spot on a car like this is the middle of its life, Buy it cheap while the battery is proven and healthy. Run it for years for pennies and pass it along before the end game arrives. Now here is the bigger rule I promised you, so listen close because this applies to a lot more than one electric BMW. When a car sells terribly, there are two possible reasons, and they lead to opposite decisions. Reason 1, the car was badly engineered and the market found out. Word got around, the repairs piled up, people ran away. When that is the story, the cheap price is a trap and you run too. Reason 2, the car was badly marketed. Wrong badge, wrong price, wrong customer, wrong moment. The engineering was fine, sometimes the engineering was excellent, but the sales pitch missed. When that is the story, the cheap price is a gift. Depreciation is doing you a favor. Somebody else paid full price to be embarrassed, and you get to pay pennies to be reliable. So before you buy any unloved used car, ask one question. Why did people hate this thing? If the answer is transmissions and head gaskets and electrical gremlins, walk away. If the answer is that it was too weird, too small, too expensive when new, or wearing the wrong badge for its own customers, you may be looking at one of the best deals on the whole used market. The herd prices cars on reputation. You should price them on engineering. The gap between those two numbers is your money. And if the unloved car you are eyeing happens to be electric, here is your quick homework list before a single dollar moves. 1. Get a battery health report. Any competent shop with the right scan tool can pull the battery capacity the same way I described, and comparing it to the original number tells you in 30 seconds whether you are buying a healthy car or somebody's problem. 2. Scan for codes yourself and see which ones come back after clearing, because as we just saw, 13 scary codes can boil down to one worn set of brake pads. 3. Check the parts situation. Are there enough of these cars on the road that remanufactured parts exist, or are you buying an orphan where every part is a dealer special order? And 4. Ask how the previous owner treated the range extender or the charging, because habits like stale gas and constant fast charging leave fingerprints. An hour of homework on a hated car can buy you 5 years of cheap driving. Maybe someday they will bring cars like this back from the dead. People are asking for smaller, simpler, cheaper cars again, and this funny little machine proved the recipe works if you sell it to the right crowd. But that is BMW's problem, not yours. Your job is simpler. Find the cars everybody hates for the wrong reasons. Check the engineering, check the codes, check the battery if it has one, and buy what the crowd was too proud to buy. Down in the comments, tell me about the most unloved, unwanted, laughed at car you ever owned that turned out to outlast everything else in the driveway and what you paid for it. The best bargains I ever heard of came from stories like those, and I read every single one. And if this kind of straight talk is worth something to you, tap the like button and subscribe, because there are plenty more where this came from. Until then, remember, hated is not the same as bad, and cheap is not the same as junk. Do the homework and let the crowd pay for their pride. Don't let them sell you a repair you don't need. I'll see you in the next